Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 461 for the week of, I think it's still July 21st, 2020. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here this week?
Brock Sager.
Not going to Comic-Con, Toby?
I was going to say this would be the year, or this would be the time we'd have very few people on the podcast because half the crew would be on their way to Comic-Con. And alas.
We're talking about, you enjoyed it so much you wanted to go back again.
Oh, yeah, sure. But
alas. To be fair, though, he says that every time he goes down there and doesn't do it for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But no Comic-Con. There will be, of course, the Comic-Con at-home live stream event this weekend, which looks kind of not the best. But, you know, whatever. It's cool they're doing it. So we'll report on any news next week. We'll have our post-con episode. It'll be a bit of a different post.
It feels very, very, very strange not be packing right now and not jumping in a plane tomorrow morning. It feels very, very, very strange.
I do think your bank account is enjoying it, though.
No, because I've already spent it all.
On Epic Collections and omnibuses.
Yeah.
We just, no crazy 3 a.m. pizza stories from Toby this year, unfortunately. So that means he's going to have to do it double next year.
I don't think he'll survive if you do it double.
Oh, I'll survive.
Double crazy Toby.
Other people may not survive. I will.
I still remember being with Kevin Sharp, and Toby's like this little wind-up toy. Me and Kevin are walking normal adult speed, and Toby's just like through the crowds, through the streets, through groups of people, and just gone. And we're like, oh, okay, bye, Toby. We'll catch up.
Man.
We'll catch up with you.
Stuff to do. I think Indicator remembers also at some weird hour at night calling you, or it might have been just me calling you and them all witnessing it, getting slightly PO'd at me.
Yeah. Funny times.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll see we'll see what ends up happening with Comic-Con. Obviously, next episode will probably be mostly Comic-Con news unless something crazy happens, or unless nothing happens. Then it won't be about Comic-Con. It'll be about nothing.
Did you watch the Snyder interview?
No. I saw that he did some interview with one of these fan sites, but I didn't see it.
Well, he teased that. Well, it's weird. They're doing this other fan con is happening at the same time.
The DC one?
No, like some other one, like some fan-made con is happening at the same time, which I thought was super weird. But then I guess he's dropping like another scene or like another scene there
as at the same time as Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of weird.
I don't know anything about this.
I figured it would be part of the Thunderdome thing or whatever they call it.
Yeah. I expect they'll have something there, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. If anything new has come out other than that one really quick scene with Wonder Woman, I haven't seen anything. So
yeah. Well, he's teasing other quick scenes, maybe two, maybe one, but another like something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it says 2021. I'm expecting like Christmas Day 2021. I got a lot of work to do on that movie, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if they
unlike the other movies, they're willing to put this on HBO Max, so we may get this sooner than Wonder Woman 84.
Well, they just pushed back Tenet now indefinitely, which means Wonder Woman is not coming out in October. There's no way Black Widow comes out in November.
Oh man,
no. Black Widow will be May of next year. There's just not a chance in hell it's coming out this year. Everything is going to get canceled because even if half the states are open, and we've talked about this, and theaters are at 25% capacity, that's not enough. No.
Plus, I probably wouldn't go back to the theater anytime soon.
Yeah,
not till a few months after all of this is done with.
You guys do realize that makes Birds of Prey the top comic book movie of the year
of 2020. Yeah. Good with that. I'm okay with that.
Man, sometimes you gotta just release your movie at the right time and you win. So
yeah,
just gotta take those wins, man.
I have a buddy of mine. He did an indie horror flick, and they're actually doing quite well money wise because they keep doing these drive-in specials.
Oh, cool.
And they're like the only new movie in town, like because everybody else is not releasing any movies, or it actually really worked in their favor. So that was, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, when we do our end of year best movie and TV shows, I mean, we'll have TV shows probably to talk about, but movies is going to be a bit tougher.
I don't know about TV shows, man. A lot of stuff hasn't even finished yet. The Walking Dead hasn't finished yet. The new show hasn't come out yet.
Well, they're going to have. We have up till now. I mean, Starman and Doom Patrol is like that's it, right? We are now at the end of new stuff. There is going to be nothing.
You're absolutely wrong.
Oh,
this month, we're going to have the awesome best show, The Umbrella Academy.
I forgot. Umbrella Academy and Boys are still coming. That's right. But we're not getting 18 new seasons in September, if anything. Like
no, I think everything is going to be delayed too. So. It'll be
nothing's filming yet. So.
You know, I should just never have these years where I'm like, okay, this is the year where I'm really getting my shit together. Like a few years ago, I had that fought and I tore my Achilles. This year, I had that fought and the whole world went down and shit. So I should just like not bother improving myself anymore.
It's always good to improve yourself. Just make sure it's done in a busy year for the rest of us.
Wonder, right?
Well, speaking of busy, I had a very busy weekend, so let's get this out of the way. And I don't want to go on about this for forever, but it is worth talking about. Our good friends over at the hate group called Comicsgate are back in the news.
Don't lump us in with friends of that hate group.
Obviously, I'm joking. I'm joking. For those just joining us, or maybe they don't know, the last 6-7 years or so, there's been a great, wonderful group of online trolls started called Gamergate, and there's a comic book offshoot of this called Comicsgate. You can read up about these guys online. Just just Google the names. And these guys are all pretty terrible, and they're mostly harass women in the comic book industry, minorities, mostly Muslims, Muslim creators, a lot of LGBTQ creators and fans. So pretty, nice guys, real scumbags. A lot of this started with attacking some of the editorial staff at Marvel over a simple picture of them enjoying a milkshake together. So you can go look up all the back history of where this all started. Dynamite Comics, who some of you may know, who do mostly licensed stuff. They do Red Sonja, Vampirella, Game of Thrones comics. They do The Boys, right? That's not licensed, but
they've started.
Boys.
They started the John Wick stuff.
Yep. What else? They like Battlestar Galactica. They've done a bunch of these books. So we'll kind of go through the timeline here a little wonky, but unknown to most people, including myself, Dynamite has been working with creators at Comicsgate, including Ethan Van Sciver, who was a very popular artist at DC, who decided to take that sweet racist money and go full MAGA and completely join the Comicsgate movement as one of their top creators, and was then blacklisted from the entire real comic book industry. And he had been getting some of his variant covers printed through Dynamite. They'd been doing some of the work on the side to get the books printed and fulfilled. He had actually had, I know, like there were a couple covers that he had done for Dynamite as like special, I'm sure what I'm looking for, like special, like custom covers for his own comics that he does. And people have been pretty mad about Dynamite for quite some time, but the shit really hit the fan this past weekend when Dynamite started to promote I mean, this guy is not part of the comic industry. He was a fan who, through his, being sort of involved with these other people on Comicsgate community, made his own like crappy fan comic, and now is making his own custom covers with Vampirella and Red Sonja and his own fan-made character. And of course, Dynamite is publishing this comic and promoting it. It's just a variant cover, so like it's not like the interior is not by him. It's a standard Dynamite comic, but this really was the line in the sand for a number of current and former as well as occasional creators, people that do work for them from time to time, to publicly come out and either step away from their contracts with Diamond or contracts with Dynamite, or say, you know, hey, at the end of my contract, I'm leaving. This has been an ongoing problem. Myself, as a retailer, I said, look, if Dynamite is supporting Comicsgate, you know, these people have targeted and verbally attacked and have consistently trolled and you know, just really this does a really nasty shit about some friends of mine, some colleagues, some other store owners, especially a lot of female run stores. They've doxed people. They've it's just
they said we were closed on Sunday.
Endless YouTube videos about how awful all these people are. All the creators at Dynamite, Gail Simone, who's done a lot of work for Dynamite, right? She's a constant target of Comicsgate. So a lot of creators that are part of Dynamite stepped down. Myself as a store owner said I would no longer be ordering Dynamite products. They're on the retailer forums. I know there was quite a bit of backlash against Dynamite as well. So, you know, Dynamite's not the biggest company in the world, but I think they have a pretty good, you know, they're like a solid, like 3-4% of the market. They have their fans for sure. You know, it's very cheesecakey for a lot of their books, and I don't tend to really get too much of them. The Boys is obviously a big hit, right? So it baffles me that Nick Barucci, the CEO of Dynamite, would be willing to risk working with these people. Now it seems like he's longtime friends with some of these people, you know, Ethan Van Sciver and some of the other creators. And from conversations, it sounds like he's trying to stay out of the politics of all this as much as possible. You know, I don't want to say he's both sidesing this, but that might not be too far off. So all this happened. Within about a day, though, Dynamite Comics did decide to cancel the cover. Now I'm going to read the single tweet that they sent out in regards to this. It says, in speaking with Cecil, who's the name of the Comicsgate creator, neither one of us realized the cover would be so polarizing. We discussed and are not moving forward with the cover or the campaign. So that is a tweet. You know, what the problem here is, this doesn't really address the connection to Comicsgate, and it doesn't address the ongoing plans, right? What they're going to do beyond here, if they're going to work with these people anymore. You know, after this tweet went up, immediately Comicsgate lost her fucking shit. Ethan Van Sciver went on this 6-hour long live stream tirade against him, basically broke up with his good friend Nick on this live stream, was freaking out. They're now getting the brunt of the awfulness that these people are, you know, threats, you know, just thinly veiled and straight up threats. As a store owner, in most situations, I'm happy to order any product that anyone asks for, regardless of, you know, whatever the thing is. But in how
many times I open box of porn just that you order for customers, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I even order Marvel comics for customers too. Hey, but you know, my line in the sand is Comicsgate, because, you know, anyone listening to this podcast knows that we're all very liberal people here, and but some of our favorite creators just happen to be maybe a little bit right of us. Bill Willingham, who does Fables, is a little more on the right side. What's his face? All Batman, all the side Batman stuff. Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon's very much a Republican. I have no problem carrying their products. All right. Whether I agree with them or not, they do some good work, right? So that's fine. This is my line in the sand, though, and it seems to be like these people are actually specifically targeting friends and coworkers. This isn't some vague, general political problem. This is real specific. So again, this is when I'm going to take a stand. From my perspective, Dynamite did the right thing. Now they have to stick with it. This isn't enough for some people. Some people wanted Dynamite to come out, fire and brimstone, and swear that they never work with Comicsgate again, and tell everyone how terrible they are and everything. I don't think that's going to happen. But if Dynamite says, look, internally, kind of privately says, look, we made a mistake. We understand this wasn't the right thing. We're not going to get all crazy political, and we're not going to start a war. We're just going to stay out of it. We're going to go back to doing what we were doing. However, policy going forward is we are not going to publish Comicsgate stuff. Personally, that's enough for me. I understand if it's not enough for you as a reader, or if you're another retailer and that's not enough. I 100% understand. I really, really hope Dynamite got the message, and going forward, they stay far away from people involved with Comicsgate, because I think a lot of people are willing to forgive a big mistake the first time. It's not a mistake if you do it again. It's not a mistake if 6 months from now they're working with these people again, and that will be the point where they're unsavable. I've seen this a lot recently, where people compare, or not compare. Sorry, people say, if you own a bar and you let a Nazi into, like some Nazi punk into your bar, they may be perfectly fine, but if you don't kick them out immediately, they're going to bring their friends, and their friends may be worse. And then they're going to bring their friends, and they're really bad. And all the regular patrons are going to leave. And you may have just started out as a local neighborhood bar, but very quickly you become a Nazi bar, and nobody wants to go to the Nazi bar. Dynamite Comics could very well become a Comicsgate comic company. And while there are people that want to support Comicsgate, I feel the majority of the support comes out of spite to the rest of the industry, spite to liberals and Democrats and the majority of the comic readers, regardless of politics. The Comicsgate, their sort of thing is, we want comics back the way they used to be, really shitty and just all TNA and.
But they don't want politics in there.
They're absolute. Well, they say there's no politics, but there absolutely is, because if any of these books were written and published by Marvel or DC, people would be like, what in the shit? What is this like crazy ass Republican nightmare comic? There is a ton of politics in there.
No,
they're just hidden behind.
They don't like the Democrat or liberal or, I don't know, just general be a good fucking human being politics. And
right.
They cry all this stuff, and it's just, they're sitting there going, I loved X-Men used to be good. It's so social justice warrior now. I'm like, X-Men's always been political.
These people do not understand the industry. And to me, look, I tweeted this, regardless of what I think of the quality of these books, and do not get me wrong, they are all fucking terrible from a quality point of view, from a writing, from art, from lettering. Every element of every one of these books I've looked at has been just the bottom of the barrel, amateur as hell,
so you're
just trash comic.
You're saying an elementary school kid could do better?
I don't know. I'm just saying they're really bad. However, there is an audience for this type of stuff. Some people like these type of books, and it is not 100% people buying the shit out of spite. If these books were published through a regular company, through a regular distributor, and put in comic book stores, they would sell a few copies. Yeah, they just would, right? Because there's going to be an audience for this stuff. But by attaching yourself to the Comicsgate name, you will never work for a regular company. You will never go through a standard distributor, and you will never be carried at a comic book store, and most comic book stores. So all of their books come out through Indiegogo and self-publishing and direct ship, and ship direct to customers. There's no distribution. There's no retail store. They're all way overpriced. So when Ethan Van Sciver makes $500,000 2.5 years ago or whatever, off one book, but like has all these like $2,500 tiers, you really look at the number of copies, and it starts to become clear that there is a ceiling there. This isn't like Batman. This isn't Spider-Man numbers, right? I mean, they're just the number of books they're selling is
wouldn't even end up on Diamond's 500 shirt.
It would. Though they would. On
the 500?
It would end up in these books would end up in the monthly sales charts for sure. They'd end up, fairly high. But the thing you're missing is it's one issue once.
Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, right? Yeah.
They're not known for putting it out on a timely fashion, or even at all.
No, right. Oh, and Van Sciver's the worst. I mean, he's as bad as Liefeld, where he gets all this money from Kickstarter or shit and then doesn't fulfill the projects. People are still waiting for stuff. It's a scam, right? I mean, these guys are grifters. And if we've seen anything, the Republican Party's done a really good job of getting a seemingly unlimited amount of money from these type of people. But you do kind of hit this ceiling, and you're never going to work for Marvel. You're never going to work for DC. You're never going to work for Image. If you're a creator who maybe you legitimately don't actually understand what's going on, and you're part of this, you may seem like, wow, these people are really passionate. I implore you to get out as soon as possible, because while you might not make as much money up front, you'll be allowed to exist in the real industry. Because if you're part of a hate group, you're never going to work for anyone. Well,
the news to me in this whole thing that came out is Shane Davis.
So a few creators have recently popped up. Shane Davis is very disappointing, and he seems pretty much gone. Longtime artist for DC. He's currently doing the Metal Man comic for DC. So at this point, I will continue to stock the Metal Man comic as I have, but as a fan, I will not purchase his work ever again. The real weird one is what's his name?
Oh, I don't remember the other one.
Jeez. Toby, we're just talking about this. If you're still there, I know you had to step and you had to kind of come and go.
We were?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. The other guy that's part of Comicsgate? No. Before.
You mean
just last night?
Rockefort?
Or Kenneth Rockefort. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, Rockefort. Oh, yeah.
English is not his first language, and I hope he doesn't understand what he's a part of. I'm going to assume he does, but that is really disappointing. It's possible he's just friends with Ethan Van Sciver and maybe doesn't exactly know what he's getting himself into. Like I said, I'm willing to forgive people if they're like, whoa, wait, what? And they back out and they're like, no, I'm not going to be part of this. Then you're fine. You're cool.
Wait, you mean like a real redemption story like we see in comics all the time?
People can make mistakes, man. It happens. I'm more than happy to forgive someone if they come to their senses and get out of this type of thing. I'm hoping people that know Kenneth Rockefort can maybe talk to him and be like, so what? You're part of this, really? But yeah, that Art Thibbert, who's a 90s comic creator, did a bunch of random stuff. He again, same thing. He took his one thing he made 25 years ago, reissued it with a Greg Capullo cover too, and remastered that, which I saw that I almost shit myself. And I was like, oh, someone told me, they're like, no, that's an old cover. I'm like, oh, thank God. But he is fully gone. He is out of his mind, like full QAnon, full Art Thibbert.
Thibbert? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we're not talking about the biggest. Kenneth Rocafort by far is the biggest name that I've seen on this list. And I pray it's a gigantic mistake.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last night. I mean, many years ago when I met him, I mean, it was hard conversing with him because he didn't really fully understand what you were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew simple stuff. So, and this was a few years ago. I'm actually not even sure how many years ago, but yeah, I'm a little. This one threw me a little off. Plus, I'm a fan, so selfishly, I don't want him to be involved with all of this. So
yeah,
because like Chuck Dixon, I like to continue liking their work, but yeah, it's weird. I don't know, man. Yeah, I mean, none of us ever gonna know the full story in any of this stuff, right? How much they're involved in and so on. So I'm not gonna accuse or crucify people, without really knowing anything. But yeah, I'm just gonna hope for the better and leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, numerous creators. Carla Pacheco, she was the artist on the current Betty Page series. She says, she made a commitment to do 5 issues, but she will never work for the publisher again unless there is a drastic change in the company management, and she's donating all her proceeds to charities like the Trevor Project, Trans Lifeline, and the Orca Project. Number of people. Christian Ward, who's done a lot of covers. Mark Russell was the big one who said, hey, I've been he says, as I write this, I'm finishing work at Red Sonja, which concludes my contractual obligations to Dynamite, after which I will no longer be accepting any further work from Dynamite, as long as they continue any affiliation whatsoever with Comicsgate. Gail Simone had just a very brief statement that says, I'm not being silent for career reasons. I'm not being silent at all. I'm taking a minute to process something personally. Very disappointing and sad. So I'm sure she had a lot of conversations on the back end. I know multiple creators have. So like I said, they did the right thing. I'm going to hope their past is behind them. And I assume they're never going to, Comicsgate won't work with them because once you've turned on them, it's over, regardless of how little you've turned on them, right? They will.
Yes. Comicsgate will buy your comic to rip it up on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
so
own you DC, you Marvel.
Yeah, it's just they're absolutely out of their mind. So I'm going to assume for now this is it. However, please, I try to ignore Comicsgate as much as possible. However, when things like this happen, I obviously have to say something. I'm going to go back to ignoring them as much as possible. If stuff starts happening with Dynamite or any other company, I really hope this becomes public very quickly. In the case of Dynamite, I mean, what a warning for every other company out there. Do not get in bed with these guys because you might not get a second chance with a lot of people.
Well, this is the thing is like, I mean, they have The Boys, which is getting huge exposure with the Amazon show, right?
Yeah.
They have the John Wick comic book license, which Greg Pak works on those, and that's a huge franchise.
Yeah,
so in
that could
essence,
be a big book for them.
That could be a huge book for them, but aligning ourselves with a known hate group like Comicsgate, you can't wash out that stain, right? You do your best to go, we made a mistake, you apologize for it, and you move forward, and you do your best to not be on the fence, but be on the side of not hating people,
Right. And the problem here is Dynamite did not apologize. They did not use the word Comicsgate. They did not say they made a mistake. They did not do any of these things. That is going to be a sticking point for a lot of people, and a lot of people still will not. They're like, nothing has changed.
Well, the thing is like their whole tweet was all a PR thing where, Cecil and I talked. Are you? Yeah. So you're chumming up with a known Comics Gator.
Well,
okay,
he already has,
decided that
right?
we didn't know that it was going to have this impact. I'm like, bullshit, you didn't know this was going to have this impact.
Right.
It's a hate group that's known. You're going to know people's reactions.
But I am willing to give someone a second chance. It was not the apology I wanted. It was not the pullback I wanted. It was not the apology anyone else wanted. But I will give them this one shot, and that is it. And we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting the next 6 months, year or so, because they very easily could continue to do stuff on the side, and the average person wouldn't know it. But if one person inside starts to talk, people find out very quickly. It's hard to keep secrets. Just funny, we were talking about conspiracy theories on the Geek Box last night, and we were like, yeah, conspiracy theories can't exist anymore because everyone talks. Everything gets found out immediately. It's impossible to keep anything secret anymore. So if Dynamite is going to start publishing or printing books or working on distribution or any of this stuff for any of these people again, we'll find out. Dynamite's never been a great seller for us. We do a lot of special orders. A couple copies of some stuff for the shelf, right? And obviously, The Boys does okay. So, there was a bit of a financial hit for me if I actually stopped carrying their product. But I'm going to go back and continue ordering what I did or what I normally do, and we'll see what happens. But unfortunately, with something like this, you don't get a second chance, right? You don't get I will forgive the first mistake. You don't get a second. You don't get to do this again. Yeah. The next time, and that is it. And I will never look back. Not while the people that are involved in the company are still there. So it's unfortunate because they got some good licenses. They focus obviously on the variants and the TNA stuff. It doesn't really track at our store, but there's an audience for it, right? And I don't want to see that audience go away. I don't want to see the company lose all its sales, but you're going to have a lot of commitment to a lot of shitty people who have no work ethic and do not actually release product, and you're selling to a really angry group of people, and you're not selling because of quality or interest in the actual products. You're selling to so people can be more angry. And that's not sustainable. So we're going to move on from this. Hopefully we don't hear about this anytime soon, but maybe we'll see what happens over the course of the next few months. We talk about some good stuff. You guys want to hear about some good stuff?
We're all ears.
Can we talk about release just mere hours after I put up the last podcast? Because that's always what happens.
Well, he had teased this like a month ago. Or
Tom King, Jorge Fornes, Dave Stewart, and Clayton Cowles, Rorschach. 12-issue DC Black Label comic about Rorschach. Oh, and it's our boy Tom King. How good is this?
You mean
game?
Taylor Swift?
What's that?
You mean Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift?
No, that's Mitch.
Yeah, with the way he cleaned up at the Eisner Award.
Oh, yes.
Tom King, winner. Tom King. I mean, yeah.
I picked the right Eisners to go to. Let's just put it that way, okay? Maybe popcorn? Oh, it's that thing. It smells like popcorn. We don't know a lot. Not a lot to say about Rorschach yet, obviously, but very happy that this finally got announced.
It's set 35 years in the future, after the events of the telepathic squid being dropped on Manhattan.
Yeah, so it's today. Yeah.
It's today. It's kind of the HBO Watchmen kind of time. So, no, I'm super stoked. Like, if the second it pops up on the hub, I'm like,
should be next week.
Like, on there.
12 issues too. Can't wait for that. That's gonna be one of the biggest books like this year and through next year. So it sounds like they're really far ahead on it too. So it should be monthly. Should be no delays.
So you're gonna be like, okay, so what is my top comic this year? Is it Strange Adventures, Rorschach, or Batman Catwoman?
Well, the fact that he may have three
Jokers. Like
he may have 3 series going on at the same time. 3 12-issue miniseries going on at the same time, which would be pretty crazy. Other big news, and for a second I thought, oh, okay, that's cool, but then I realized the potential of what can happen here. Walking Dead is going to be coming back out as an ongoing series in single issue form, reprinting the entire run, all 193 issues, in color with bonus material in each issue. And there is no trade paperbacks.
Really?
There will eventually, but not no current plans for graphic novel releases. This is going to be single issue only. There's going to be 2 issues a month. This is going to be like the number one is going to be 1 month, the only issue in the month, oversized, like special. It's going to have a bunch of bonus stuff in it, a bunch of variant covers, and then it's going to be 2 issues a month after that, all with bonus material per issue, twice a month, full color.
No.
This is going to sell, I think, equivalent, if not better, than the original run. This is gonna be really big. Black and white is just a limiting factor to some people.
Yeah.
There are some people that just the black and white aspect is just some people will not read a black and white comic. It's just a fact. The fact that the book ran for so long and it's now going to come out again gives people that maybe were like, well, I want to pick it up and number one's $5,000 or whatever, right? The fact that they could kind of read like this definitive edition now in single issue, and that there's no graphic novel. If you want it, this is the way you're getting it, which for comic book stores and single issue focused stores like us is fantastic. So Walking Dead, baby, is back.
Yeah, see, I agree with you a little on the people like the color and black and white is limiting, but I think that releasing it single issue, like 193 issues of this again, I mean, and even if you do it on a twice a month schedule, you're still looking at 8 years.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the whole point.
I understand, but that's an 8-year commitment where already, huh?
That's 8 years is nothing.
Well,
yeah, we're about to have the 10-year anniversary of Flashpoint, which
we're just talking about that. Yeah,
I know. But I think that I don't know. I think maybe oversized and making it its own, maybe 3 issues in one, or it's one of those things where it's like I'm personally not interested. I've read it all already.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
Yeah,
a lot of people that haven't.
This is to carve out the people that have not read it yet. This is for the people that skipped it because it was in black and white. Yep. I mean, this is like the second half of the Bone readers that only read the colored ones versus the black and white ones.
And Bone has sold 10,000 times as many copies when it went to Scholastic than it ever did.
Yeah.
It's just not even close, right? And of course, they're obviously aiming at a different audience and yada yada yada. So that's not why it sold so much. But yeah, it's the color aspect was not the only reason why. But this is
I'm curious to see how successful it is.
It's going to be very big. You may get people kind of just as time goes on. Some people may sort of just drift away naturally, right? Obviously, Walking Dead had a lot of
Walking Dead book also.
What was that?
They also did on the black and white book. I mean, people are just going to drop off of books after a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. But I think this is going to be pretty big, especially that bonus content's really neat, and I like the idea of that. And then the graphic novels will probably have that bonus material, which gives it a different,
down the road, I'll probably be more interested in the graphic novel versions when they release them, because that's kind of how I read Walking Dead. It's to me, it's one of those series that single issue. I don't think I could survive reading it single issue because it's just so
two a month. 2 a month is why.
So yeah, I don't know.
2 a month will make Walking Dead in single issue format much easier to read. Yeah,
I'll give it that. Yeah, because I think when they had kind of that revitalization of the series was when they were doing the All Out War, right? Where they were actually releasing 2 books a month for a little while.
This sounds right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when it went 2 a month.
When it was 2 a month, they had like a revitalization and people were actually coming back to it because, again, it's a really good series, but reading it single issue once a month, that's rough.
Well, I'm excited to see
don't get me wrong.
what
I'll probably pick up a first issue of it just to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
right?
I'm excited for the bonus content. I want to see what they do. Whether it's stuff from the shows or sketches or talking about some of the upcoming TV show or movie work they're doing or what. I don't know. We got some
successful at this point, Ryan. Do you think, as an independent property, do you think it's Ninja Turtles or do you think it's Walking Dead at this point?
Like total profits?
Well, just like something that started out as a little black and white book to how far it's gotten, right? I mean, Ninja Turtles is a lot hard to gouge because, it got sold a couple of times, but
yeah,
where it started, how big it's gotten. I mean, basically Walking Dead is a TV channel's flagship show where they're about to have their third spin-off and announce TV movies and, the comic went 192 issues, so...
Yeah, I think maybe comic-wise, there may be kind of a wash. I mean, Turtles has, if you include the current Turtle series, Walking Dead just sold much better than Turtles, except for like those real early ones, because Turtles, after the first couple of years, never really sold on those levels again. Through the 90s and 2000s, but you had like the Archie Turtle series that sold really well, and there was
the kids one,
yeah, and so there was there's more Turtles comics than Walking Dead, so the average Walking Dead issue I think sold better, but there's just been more.
Yeah,
those first two movies were big hits. I think the current two movies were pretty profitable. At least the first one, right?
They're profitable enough to make another one, right?
yeah. And those are big. Walking Dead, though, was the biggest cable show of all time for a little while there, right?
That's true.
It's hard. I don't know what that means as compared to a movie, right? Is a season of Walking Dead equivalent to to an MCU movie when it comes to profits, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
I just thought it was an interesting thing that, two black and white indie books made it that far in society. It's pretty cool, I think.
Well, those would be the two to beat. I don't think anything's come close.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of what you said earlier, Ryan, about the Bone comic, right? Where it's the audience. I mean, Turtles can hit a wide variety audience. Walking Dead, there's an age kind of like barrier, right? So you're not going to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can hit all ages, whereas Walking Dead can only hit a certain age demographic.
Yeah, but Walking Dead hit a lot of normals like you wouldn't believe.
Well, yeah.
A lot of normals started reading Walking Dead that probably never read a comic book before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to really overstate how much those two properties have changed the landscape of comic books and really movies and TV and film, right? I mean, Turtles was, having an animated series and then live action movies like that. That was not a common thing. I mean, He-Man didn't do it He-Man kind of did it, but let's be honest. I mean,
He-Man did it in the era when it didn't really transfer very well.
Right.
The Turtles movie is actually an independent movie. The 1990s one.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean the fact that to have a cartoon and then a live action movie. Ghostbusters went the other way, so that's a little bit different, right? It was a popular cartoon that was based off a live action movie, but to have comic to cartoon and movie all within that, the movie was a couple years after the cartoon, I think 2 years, maybe 3 years.
The cartoon is 87 and the movie is 1990.
Yeah. Okay. So, there's just I don't know of anything that's made that leap and been that successful. It's if there's anything, it's not coming to my mind. So that's my dog, Brock.
No, I know. No, I thought I heard something outside of my house.
Oh, sorry. My dog's barking outside. So yeah, and Walking Dead, obviously, despite people kind of getting long in the tooth for the show, for some people, it's still a big hit. And there's a spin-off show and another spin-off show and multiple movies coming and another comic and so
I'm still in, man. I'm still in. I'm like, mad I can't watch the last episode of the season, dude. I'm looking forward to the spin-off season.
Yep.
I'm one of the few people that even like the other spin-off show, although recently I kind of lost touch of that one. But
yeah, I jumped off that a while back, but I
definitely it at times, and then I kind of don't like it as much, and then I like it again. So that one is not as consistent as the regular show.
Yeah. I just I just wanted to see what see where they go with the next couple seasons, see if they can make it work. Couple comics going to wrap up at DC in October, and I'd put a little money on we're going to see a few more end in November and December as well.
Okay, so
Batgirl, Batman.
You're going to give us the list after you give us the October list.
No, I don't have a list. I would take that bet. I think some books are I think DC is going to be wrapping up some stuff here. Batgirl, Batman and the Outsiders, and Justice League Odyssey are ending in October. No real surprise with any of those. Batgirl, I checked out during the Burnside stuff, and I came back in for Rebirth, but I'm just not into this take on Batgirl. I kind of want her to go a little bit more classic. Batman and the Outsiders, sorry, Brock. This current series, it's been fine, but very disconnected, very... It's been its own thing. It just hasn't.
Yeah, it's been its own thing. It's been its own like Ra's al Ghul story. Like
just like hasn't connected to anything else.
Yeah.
And Ra's al Ghul coming back should be a big event, not.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of brought it's focusing more on Signal and Orphan.
I like them. I like them a lot.
And like the interactions with like family and all. The only real connection it has to Batman and the Outsiders is Batman and Black Lightning.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad. Brian Hill's done a great job on the book. I enjoy it.
It's been fine.
But I understand that there's. It's weird that they're stopping it at 17. I think you could have gone to 18 or at least 20. Finish it out at the even 20. But hey, whatever.
Well,
and Odyssey is.
Well, I think it's better now. I love Odyssey.
But
Odyssey
it's really
it's a
good.
Book for me, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's a real weird space DC book that has no audience. I mean, what's his name? Lord Epoch, Lord of Time is like one of the main characters, and you're like, yeah, no, how did this book even exist? It's a fun book, though. I do like it a lot. I just, I am not. Yeah. I'm not surprised it's wrapping up. I think we're going to see more of this because, like I said, based off those early issues of Death Metal, something's gonna happen to DC coming up. 2021 should be a real interesting year. There's in issue number 2, there's lots of talk of Crisis, and there's lots of talk of the multiverse being cut down, and we usually tend to see it getting cut down right before it expands back out. So,
well, I mean, if you're looking at it, we're about at that 5-year interval, right? We got New 52 in 2011. We got Rebirth in 2016. 2021 is going to bring us
bring it all back.
I mean, I don't know what the next
the Uncrisis.
The Uncrisis.
So I'm trying to think like top of my head. They have a bunch of minis that are wrapping up soon.
Well, isn't Red Hood and the Outlaws is ending? Red Hood Outlaw.
I think so. Is that ending at 50?
It's ending at 50, I believe.
Is that ending at 52? Okay.
Yeah.
Shazam's ending. That's wrapping up. Let's get a couple issues left. There's
they got Justice League Dark, but
Dark should stick around. I'd be surprised if Dark ends. I want to see Dark stick around. Teen Titans can and just relaunch immediately with the real Teen Titans. I'm trying to think what else. Supergirl ended. Terrifics ended.
Yeah, but those ones we knew were early chopping block ones.
Yeah, so every month we're losing a couple as more minis, specials, black labels, anniversary books come out. So it's like DC's still putting out a shit ton of books, It's just, this happens all the time. We're always going to lose books. But like I said, I would think a few more ongoings are going to end November, December. And then, because what's metal, what are we on? October, November, December, January. So
7, right?
Is it January would be the last issue?
Still doing 7, right?
Yeah, and there's the skip month. There's at least one skip month.
They're doing those.
Snyder had his
calendar, his
little chart. Yeah,
calendars.
I can't remember if it ends in January or February, but March would be a really cool time to launch a bunch of new ongoing comics in a new DC universe, and obviously the big guns will stick around. So, fortunate, but maybe we'll get a more classic back row out of this. That'd be cool. Now, Toby, this is for me and you.
Yeah.
Just posted on Comic Resources a little bit ago. I don't know if this is as of today or when. I hadn't noticed it, but they did. There is no longer a yearly subscription option for DC Universe.
But good thing we still have a little card that gets us an entire year's worth of DC Universe.
If it's still around.
Ding, 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 ding.
They have the $7.99.
Going to be on HBO Max in August.
They have the $7.99 per month choice. That's the only way to pay for DC Universe. So we are, again, I'm going to stick with my original thought.
We're heading into the end.
I could see it being a monthly subscription. I could see it being an add-on to HBO Max. I could see it having all the content that's available on HBO Max that's related to DC Comics. However, it'll not be exclusive. It'll only be anything exclusive will be on HBO Max. And obviously, Stargirl going to CW, Swamp Thing going to CW. As far as I know, they're still going to show season 1 this. Well,
yeah, they're not going to have any new content, so they're like, let's just show Swamp Thing.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's happening still. It was announced, and I haven't heard anything about it since. So I'm assuming it's still happening. Green Lantern's coming. Strange Adventures coming. Maybe Justice League Dark if that thing ever actually happens. Doom Patrol's on HBO Max. Harley's going to HBO Max. So,
God, Doom Patrol season 2. Oh.
Titans is the only thing. Titans and Young Justice are the only two things that don't have a home. Obviously, DC Daily was canceled. So I would think HBO Max is going to be the home for all these things going forward. It makes the most sense, and then we'll just get
Well, you'll have just the DC package with the comic books and DC properties from HBO.
I think you have HBO Max. Then for $7.99 a month, you could add on DC Universe, which gives you the comic books. That'd be fun. That'd be cool.
Yeah, or if you want, you can just do DC Universe, and that gives you the comics and just the DC content, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that is.
I mean, that's the best way, I think, for HBO, Warner to do it is have different avenues for people to get in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
no, I after all the work they put into it, they're not going to get rid of the comic aspect of it. At worst, it'll become a part of something else. But I can't believe for a minute that they'll get rid of it.
I can see them doing a $4.99 a month and it'll be comics only.
Yeah. What is Marvel Unlimited is $100 a year with some sales, I believe. So I could see them aiming for that same price. Maybe the $79.99 is too cheap. Who knows? They would have to up the amount of comics they have to make it worth for $100 a year, though. DC would have to significantly increase their back catalog. There's a lot of gaps. Marvel's got a pretty good back catalog in Marvel Unlimited. DC needs a little work. Before we wrap up here, I got no questions. I spazzed this week. I did not put up our Patreon thread. I'm so out of sorts. I do want to talk. If you guys got a topic, feel free to jump in here. But I do want to talk for a few minutes here about the Sandman audio drama, because holy poop,
dude, you can say shit.
This came out last week. It's like 11 hours long. It's like 10 hours and something long. It's the first 20 minutes of Sandman. And we talked about this, right? I mean, we talked about some of this in the last couple of weeks.
It's the first 3 volumes, right? Preludes and Nocturnes, Dollhouse, and Dream Country.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah. So I am used to reading Sandman in the graphic novel form. I've only read him in single issues once, like straight through. When I've reread it, it's been the trade form. So they take, like, I believe issue number 8 isn't issue 8 collected in one of the other books. The one shot issues, right? That's the line, the Dream of Sand or something.
So Dream Country is the collection of the random issues.
Yeah. I believe that's in Dream.
That's 3. Because it pulls you reading them in order, you get those fill-in issues here and there, but they pulled a few out for Dream Country.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're not fill-in issues. They're like these one-off stories. Yeah. I was about 20 minutes into the first episode, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever heard." It's so good. If you haven't read the comics, I wonder what you would think, because there's a lot going on in this, and because of the visual nature of something like Sandman, it's not a very straightforward story. So I could see it being maybe a little confusing if you don't have those visuals, right? I mean, Neil Gaiman does the narration, and so he does describe the panels basically, or sometimes another character takes over narration, but usually Neil Gaiman just as the narrator, especially those first handful of issues.
It's what the script of Sandman actually had was the introduction to, we see Dream's castle and blah blah, but that's what the artist drew for you. So we never saw those. We just like the words. We just saw what the artist envisioned for that time. Right. But now with the audio, we're getting those scene introductions.
Yep.
And so yeah. So I've been tempted to do it. Did you do like the Audible one, or?
Yeah, so it's exclusive to Audible. I don't have an Audible account, so but I have Amazon Prime, so I just made a free account, and you get 2 free if you have Prime. You get 2 free downloads. So, and this is one of them. So I'll save the other one till maybe the next volume comes out of this. So I just got through Sound of Her Wings.
How was that?
It's really good. It's really good. So what's her face? Kat Dennings plays Death, and it's a good choice. She does a really good job with Death. She has that right personality for it. 24 Hours. That's the episode. Or that's the issue, huh?
The Dr. Destiny one.
That's the issue where they're in the diner.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! It's way worse.
What?
When you have like not bad worse. Like
no. I know the issue. I know because I recently finished. I reread this at the end of last year, so I remember that issue. Going, holy shit! It's pretty bad. What happens in that issue?
It's way worse when you have voice actors and sound effects, and it's like that's a really good issue. And it's a really creepy ass issue, but holy hell, it's way worse when you have to listen to the audio version of it. It is tough to get through some of those scenes. There's the scene where the lady's describing having sex with a corpse. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's real nasty when she's talking about it. It's when you're reading, especially a comic, like, I don't know, like, you get the visuals of everything, but like
without having something for reference, you don't have necessarily the best audio. But like, I read Joker and it's Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I read Batman and it's not Christian Bale or any of that. Or like, some people might hear Christian Bale, some people might hear Kevin Conroy, some people might hear, Ben Affleck, some people might hear Michael Keaton, but like, I don't associate that. So when I read Batman, I'm just like, it's just how he's reading, right? But there's certain characters that transition over, like, Harley Quinn is Tara Strong, like, to me, Mark Hamill's Joker. So, but yeah, have you met the Corinthians? So the Corinthians been introduced yet, right?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Nope. No. So, I would love to hear someone who's never read Sandman. I'd love to hear their opinion of the audio drama if that's
Toby
what they. I have no idea what Toby would think of this. You think it's weird white people stuff and not be into it.
I was going to read that weird comment about that fucking corpse you guys were just talking about, man. You guys are into some weird shit, man. It doesn't help that that weird mummy girl in what's it called, American Gods, is like raping this dude and he disappears in her harpoon. So yeah, you guys are into some weird shit, man.
In that issue, Toby, what's happening is you have classic Justice League villain Dr. Destiny. He has Sandman's like Dreamstone, like basically like that kind of the raw essence of his power. And this is, again, Neil Gaiman taking real things from the standard comic books and making it sort of fit into this world, right? So he took this kind of shitty villain.
Like, he's an old man and like even further off of his rocker because of just age and dementia and stuff.
He's rotting away in Arkham, and
and like he gets out and he just lets loose of just everything.
So like the entire world, you're getting like these little narrations from the TV of like people can't fall asleep now because the Dreamstone's like overpowering everyone. But he's in this diner and he's like, "All right, no one's leaving. I'm bored. Let's see what happens." And it's a over a 24-hour period where every hour it kind of looks at what's happening to the group of people that are caught in the diner with him during this hour. And, they're like reliving these dreams all the time. He makes them like wake up a few times and like come to realize what's happening. Like they're cutting each other's arms off at one point. They're having sex. They're in these waking dreams. And so all this nightmare stuff is happening to these people in this bar, or in this restaurant. So it's rough, tough to listen to, but really good.
So I saw some people that were doing the audiobook with the comic book open.
Reading it along, or
yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, like when I read a comic, it takes me 15 minutes. I don't know. Maybe an issue of Sandman takes 20 minutes. There's a lot of dialogue. Like the first episode's like an hour long, so it is. The average episode's like 30 minutes long. So because of the extra narration and everything, like this is a hefty series. Yeah, and it's exact to the comic. To the best of my knowledge, they don't edit the dialogue. They don't change anything. It is a straight adaptation of the comic. So it's fantastic. The 10 out of 10 could not get a higher recommendation for me right now. If you've read Sandman in the past,
they only do 5 stars on Amazon.
If you haven't read Sandman in the past, if you've read it in the past, I could not recommend this more. If you haven't read it, I would be fascinated to see what you think about it, because like I said, there's a lot going on. You have to kind of think of every chapter break as a new comic. And often when you read a comic book, sometimes the next issue has nothing to do with the issue prior to it, right?
Yeah.
Books tend to not really work that way. They tend not to. Not super often. Comic books, you can have 5 issues that are 5 completely disconnected stories. They're much more like short story compilations. Sometimes. So Sandman, while you have a connected first 6 issues, there are lots of little past. Every issue kind of stands alone for the most part. Every issue or 2 stands alone as sort of its own little part of the story. Issue 7 is completely standalone. Issue 8 is completely standalone. So it's a little untraditional.
I guess I'm just going to have to download my first Audible book.
You do, Brock. You're going to fucking love it.
Yeah.
You're going to finish. I mean, I'm only listening to it in the car when I'm on my way to work, so you'll blow through it in like a day or 2. It'll take me another week or 2 to finish this.
I'll basically walk the dog at night, tell my kids to get the fuck away from me, and I'll do half an hour of just like, yes.
Yeah.
And then maybe if the dog's lucky, I'll walk him again after the kids are asleep.
Yeah, so I'm maybe in another 2 weeks I'll probably be done with it. So because it's taking over my podcast listening time. It's going
to be a spinoff, Ryan. The Toby Chronicles of reading Sandman. And
I would love to see you read Sandman and get your thoughts on a weekly basis.
I tried like 3-4 times because that motherfucker sold like a motherfucker whenever I was working at the shop. So
yeah.
I mean, less so now, but when I was at the other store, that and Sin City, and I mean, my Sin City story is like, what the hell is this? It looks ugly as hell till I read it. I was like, this is brilliant.
If you want, Toby, I would love to have you read a couple, like an issue or two of Sandman a week. Come on and talk to me and let me know what's going on in the podcast. That'd be a great little segment because I would
a little spinoff. It'll do a little back and forth Sandman.
Okay, I'm all for it.
I mean, I know what you like. Sandman is very different than the type of books you normally read, so I'd be fascinated to see what you think of it. It's pretty. I mean, it really was that book that made me really look at comics differently, and it was very different than what I read. Right?
For many years. When I met you, you had the little Ankh earring.
I still got it. Still got one right here. Always, forever. I'll never take it off.
I bought the 2 used ones from you like years ago. At this point, I mean, really with the intent of reading it, not just to buy them, because I really am curious. And like I said, I've had the trade for the first one and tried numerous times reading it. I just couldn't get through it. And then last weekend, I even picked up the 3rd Absolute, like from a Craigslist posting. So,
oh, really?
So I'm like 3 volumes in at this point. So I'm missing only like 2 more on the Death one. So I'm getting to have the complete thing even. So
nice.
That reminds me, I need to get the Absolute prequel stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely should start reading it because that was my intent on all of this. So
yeah, you should. Yeah, it's. I mean, still one of, if not my favorite comic ever. It's fascinating.
I think that American Gods TV show did not help my Neil Gaiman-ness at all.
Well, I tried. I could not get into the show.
Okay, so I've read the book. I didn't get a chance to watch the show. I need to sit down and watch it. And I reread the comic book series because they adapted it in a comic book form. And it's a very, very specific, like Ryan said, it's a very kind of specific type of story for a person, for a type of person. It hinges on Ryan's not very interested side, but there's still stuff about it that I think it like appeals.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it was bad. I just could not connect to the characters in the show at the beginning, and I got 3 or 4 episodes in, and I just was not into it.
Well, I watched the whole way through to the season end. I'm like, I wanted a payoff, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But when they first presented it at like Comic-Con, I watched the panel and got the premise of it. I never read the books, but I was all in, man. I was hyped for this show beyond belief. So
yeah,
it was went the other way when I actually watched it.
Well, it happens. So yeah, that's it. That's the podcast. Nice and short this week. That's fine. I actually feel really bad because let me pull it up here. We had a new Patreon backer and I somehow never added it to my list. And so we're going to
give some special attention.
Well, regardless of the next whatever, if he backs, I'm gonna just keep going an extra month here. So before we wrap up here, give a shout out here to Martin Aguilar. I'm gonna read his post here. He says, "Want to give my girlfriend's artwork a shout out at Instagram at Lost Ghost Flower. She does art extensions on Pokemon cards." And they're all available on Patreon or Etsy store. So etsy.com/shop/lostghostflower. You have card prints. So basically, you've seen this like with Magic and Pokemon and other card games where they take like the card and they like draw beyond the card, right?
Yeah. So the card's like what they zoomed in on, but there's
like stuff beyond it. Yeah. So really neat stuff. So Martin, I am terribly sorry. You should have yelled at me before. I had all your info here, and I just somehow never added it to my end of a podcast message.
Well, I remember you mentioning this once before.
Did I?
Yeah, you did mention this once before. But I don't think you did it again like you were supposed to.
I didn't permanently add it to my list. So there you go. We have the rest of our wonderful, wonderful patrons that we have to thank here. All our high-tier patrons, Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie Podcast, Craig Anderson at CraigPAnderson.com, James Laws, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast. That's Social Forum, FOURUM.buzzsprout.com. Jesse Peterson's at the Comic Book Matters Podcast. Thank you guys all very much for your continued support. Craig, sorry, not a Comic-Con this year. Sorry, there's no Comic-Con, but I hope everyone has fun watching Comic-Con at home this upcoming weekend.
Hey, Craig, I could get faded this weekend and call you in like 2 a.m.
You're just going to show up at his house.
Yeah.
In
Wasted.
Indiana.
And be like, Toby, I did it.
Jesus. I did want to say, are any of you going to try and rewatch Blade? It's 25 years since that came out.
You know,
when? Like,
I watched that movie like 8 times in the theater.
I haven't seen Blade in a long time.
It's on HBO Max right now.
Blade's on HBO Max?
Yeah.
What?
Or is it Netflix? It's on one of those. I don't remember which one it's on.
Was it a Warner Brothers movie? It might have been.
Is it? I don't know.
Blade Studio.
I don't know who made Blade. For some reason, I thought it had all gone back to Marvel. So I thought it was all Disney now.
Yeah.
Well, anyway. No, I've not seen Blade, but I should rewatch it. That's a fun movie. Those first 2 were fantastic. Second one's great, too. Third one, let's not talk about that.
Hey, man, it's got my Prison Breaker in there, man. Leave him alone.
Oh, I am very excited for the new Blade movie, though, whenever that happens a couple of years from now.
It's going to be awesome.
That could be great. Please visit comicconspiracypodcast.com, geekbox.net, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for all our previous episodes. If you were using, if you were using Google Play.
It was Warner Brothers. Holy shit.
Was it?
Yeah, it's New Line Cinema, which is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's weird.
That makes sense why it's on HBO Max. Sorry, I was looking it up.
That's super. I had no idea.
The Blade movie rights might be back with Marvel.
Yeah. But the actual movie is still Warner Brothers?
Yeah, it still probably has the actual movie, yeah.
Maybe Superman and Blade could team up. If you use... Well, you're not hearing this if you use Google Play, because Google Play apparently doesn't play podcasts anymore. You have to download Google Podcasts now. Everything's been switched over there. We had some listeners in the forum that were like, podcast not updating. It's like, oh, apparently Google Play is split off to a whole new podcast thing. So make sure you, if you're listening to this through other means, go find Google Podcasts. If you go to youtube.com/comicsconspiracy, you can find all our episodes on there to listen to. Again, no video, but we got the audio on there, so you can check us out. And if you got a long form question, something longer than those 280 characters on Twitter, you can send it to the comicconspiracy@geekbox.net. And man, I got to get those Q&A threads back up, and I got to get back on Twitter. I've spaced the last couple of weeks. Really bad. Sorry, Patreon guys. If you go to comicsconspiracy.biz, that's where you can find all the comic books we have in store. Gonna give you a little hint here. Saturday, August 1st. Maybe you want to check out comicsconspiracy.biz. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thanks.
If you go to
this is how I get announced I'm going to be busy after August 1st.
Saturday, August 1st. You may want to visit the website. We have all our comic books on there that you could buy, and it's good times. It's good times. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video pull list, unboxing videos. You can go watch all his stuff on there. Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. That's Charlie's Doctor Who podcast, and Doctor Who may be on break, but they're still recording episodes from time to time. Kevin Sharp, he does a bunch of creator interviews at Between the Panels, which is over at fanbasepress.com. So you can go on there and read all his interviews. Really good creator interviews. Tons of great people. I know his Big Dan Didio interview is coming up soon. Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife Leanne's Etsy store. She has a bunch of commissions on there, prints, and of course you can find all her artwork over at leannehill.com. If you're on Twitter, and I didn't block you this weekend because if you're an asshole comic skater guy, you can follow me at Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock's Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. And the store is Comics Con Store. Please give us all a follow and say hello. Every week I'm on the Geek Box. This week, what the hell did we talk about this week? A lot of Final Fantasy 14 talk. It's always fun. Our good friend Adam Fitch has started to play Final Fantasy 14. Of course, he's playing a cat girl. What else would he play? What else did we talk about this week? Why do I never remember what we talked about the night prior to recording this podcast?
It was yesterday. Like,
I immediately forget everything we do on everything.
I'll
forget this entire podcast. I'll forget this entire podcast after we record it. That's fine. That's all right. Mostly just talked a lot about MMOs. That's usually what we talk about in Geekbox anyway. And don't forget to listen to Manga Machinations, some good friends of ours, and I've been on there a couple times. Toby, you've been on there too, right? Were you on there? Yep. Talking about some good old Japanese comics and cartoons. All right. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to get out at a reasonable hour, get this podcast up and go to bed before before it's like midnight. What a great night. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for recording with me. Thank you for listening. And have fun if you're going to watch the Comic-Con and home stuff this weekend. Should be cool. We'll talk all about it next week. See you guys later.